Hey, what's up? It's TJ here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is an interesting topic. I want to talk, about what everybody's talking about, Kendrick Lamar, and his performance, and just my thoughts about it, how I feel like his performance stood out to me, and also deeper meaning behind the reaction to this performance. Let's go. All right, so I don't know if you have been, a fan of Kendrick Lamar for a long period of time, or maybe you're just, getting hip to his music and understanding like who he is and what he does. But I was pretty much a fan of Kendrick Lamar from the very beginning. Honestly, I think Kendrick Lamar reminds me a lot about myself, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but he reminds me a lot about myself. He's one of those kind of misunderstood underdog type people who just had to work for everything he has. He is a brilliant kid, grew up in a rough area, and I don't know if you remember, but he was labeled as what they used to call a weirdo rapper. And you know, I never saw him as that. I always, found him as, someone who I connected with his music. I connected with his music, but I never saw him as a weirdo. But he was always deemed a weirdo by the industry, by mainstream, by people who are on these different platforms, rap radio or rap and R&B radio. They didn't know where to place Kendrick Lamar because he was quote unquote like a conscious rapper, someone who rapped about things in depth and concepts, and everything that he would say in his lyrics did not jump out at you off the page immediately. You had to think a little bit and dive a little bit deeper. And I think a lot of people, especially at that time, were not ready for that type of music. And there are musicians who were like that before Kendrick Lamar, but not to the extent I feel like that Kendrick Lamar is. Simply because I feel like there were those Tupacs of the world, like Rakim and other artists who had depth to their music, but Kendrick kind of was is a child, or kind of a prodigy of that. He's a product of that, and I think he kind of took that to a different level, to where a lot of the things that he says, you may listen to it a few times and not really get it, and I think the difference between someone like Kendrick and someone like Tupac, who I think has conscious music as well, especially when you think about like a song like Changes. Changes is, let's just take like a song like Changes for example. It is a direct song. It speaks directly to you. There's no nuance there where you have to kind of dissect and figure out. He's saying exactly what he wants to say to you, and it resonates immediately. And I think what Kendrick does causes you to dissect and dive deeper and really figure out what it is that he's trying to say. And a lot of people do not have the capacity to want to do that, whether it's just lack of interest, or whether it's just lack of thought or depth. I don't know which one it is. It could be all three. It could be one or the other. But I think that's what keeps Kendrick Lamar out of the mainstream. And that which labeled him as what I think is what they would call as a weirdo rapper. Now yeah, I think there is a genre of weirdo rappers. I do feel like Tyler the Creator was definitely a weirdo rapper. A lot of the things that he did early on, and I don't know if you remember, Tyler Creator, the one of my first like vivid images of Tyler the Creator is him eating a cockroach on YouTube, and I would deem that as weird. Now, Kendrick has never done anything like that or to that extent, but I would deem that as something weird to do in a music video live. But I think those who in the hip hop industry back then would also have labeled Tyler the Creator as a weirdo rapper, but I don't feel like Kendrick Lamar kind of fits in that genre. I think he was definitely different. I think he definitely had a crowd. I think he definitely had people who were interested in his music that was not the mainstream. And I think as he grew in his rap career, I think he understood that like, hey, like, I'm not going to be accepted by everybody. And honestly, I don't want to be accepted by everybody. I want to be accepted by people who get me, the people who understand me, and people who really want to enjoy my music. And I think he dibbled a little bit into the mainstream world. He saw what it looks like. He saw what it was about. And he realized that that was not for him. And what I really like about his evolution is that he didn't change who he was or what he's done. He's continued to create music in the same way, and I feel like he's being more accepted now in the mainstream. But what's interesting is that he has always been that guy that he is now, the quote unquote weirdo rapper. But it seems like the world is beginning to catch up, right? To that. It's been really cool seeing the think pieces on social media. It's really been really cool seeing people dissect and understand and go deeper and dive deeper into the things that he's doing. And those are things that you just cannot do with other music artists' music. I think that's what separates him. That's what sets him apart. And what's really cool is seeing that be accepted now. Now, why is he not accepted by all? Is the question, right? And I want to ask, it's not really a question for me. I know why he's not accepted by all. It goes back to a lot of things, but he doesn't have the look of what a mainstream person should look like in a lot of people's eyes. He doesn't have the general just sound that a lot of people like to hear in the mainstream, as far as just being direct and straightforward, and for people not needing to think while they're listening to their music, just enjoying a good vibe, just enjoying a good song. He has some of those songs, but that is not, of course, his MO. But, it's just been interesting seeing that he, even though he is becoming and being more mainstream, that he is still not accepted by the mainstream as far as, the worldview is. Now, I think he has massively increased his audience, and there are people listening to Kendrick that, I would have never thought would listen to Kendrick. There are children listening to Kendrick. There are children who are in love with a lot of the songs. My kids, all they want to listen to is Kendrick Lamar. And what I think he has done is kind of shifted the culture and gained the younger audience. And you'll see years from now a group of young adults whose favorite rapper was Kendrick Lamar, which to me is incredible. Now, that's a little bit of his history and kind of how I feel about Kendrick Lamar, just to kind of preference what we're kind of going to dive into a little bit here. But I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl performance and kind of what stood out to me initially once I saw what was happening. And I I am one of those people who kind of like to dive deep. In fact, one of my favorite songs, actually my probably favorite song from Kendrick Lamar is Count Me Out. And there's a lyric in Count Me Out where he says, I care too much, want to share too much, in my head too much. And it kind of states a little bit about like who he is and what kind of goes through his mind. And I love that song because it kind of goes through like his mind a little bit. And that's kind of where like my mind is a lot of times too. And because he cares too much, a lot of the things that are going on in the world, they affect him, and that reflects in his music. And I'm the same way. I've created short films, and a lot of times what I felt, actually both times when I created my short films, what I felt was what was being reflected in the film, because my sensitivity to what's going on around me affects my art and affects what I create. And he is the same in that, right, where he's sensitive to the world around him. He's sensitive to the culture and to the things that are affecting the culture. And because of that, he reflects that into his work, because it's a natural kind of progression of like what an artist who has a sensitivity to the world around him, would do. And so what initially stood out to me with the performance was that it was not like any other performance. Most Super Bowl performances are just a catalog of, the artists and their, top hits and the things they like to do. It's basically a DJ session. Like, oh, this hit, that hit, I got this joint too. And then the crowd is kind of like, oh, yo, he did that joint. Oh yeah, I remember this song. Like, it's a montage and a collection of their greatest hits, and it's meant to entertain and entertain only. And what stood out immediately to me, that he was not here to entertain. He was here to send a message and to reflect like what he is feeling and what the culture is feeling at this time. And his sensitivity to what is happening and what is going on in the world reflects in his artwork and reflected in his performance, reflected in what we got to witness and see in that performance. One thing that stood out to me immediately that I could not get over, and it kind of hindered me from like really like what consuming what was happening, was Samuel Jackson and the character that he played in that performance. This was a cinematic performance, which is what really gravitated towards, or which really pulled me in, was that this was a cinematic performance. This was a performance that, I don't know if you know, but in the film world, there is a lot of what Samuel Jackson's character was. You see it in film often. And what a lot of filmmakers will do is they will place the audience in the film. There's the main character, there's the protagonist and the antagonist, and there's these characters that are placed in the film. But a lot of times in film, what they'll do is they'll place a character in the film who is supposed to be the audience. That character is reflecting what the audience is thinking. The character is placed in the film to say the things and do the things that the audience would do. And, sometimes they call them like the comic relief or something like that. But what they are is they're us in the film. And you'll see them say, things like, yo, I wouldn't go in there. Or like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like just they would say what we would say, or what we are saying as the audience. That's what Samuel Jackson was. Not only the significance of him, one being his name is Sam or Samuel, him playing Uncle Sam, but also Uncle Tom at the same time because he is a black man playing Uncle Sam. The significance of that, I mean, in his previous roles in the Django, and just the significance of Samuel Jackson playing that role and being willing to play that role. Right, he understood the importance of that as well. He was open to doing that role, like just the mindset of like just thinking about that, like Samuel Jackson saying yes to that. That tells me that the concept had to be good enough that Samuel Jackson was like, you know what, I need to be in this role. And so that's what, I mean, that immediately that stood out to me. And I couldn't kind of really get over that because he kept like showing up throughout the performance. The things he was saying was very significant. I noticed the mention of 40 Acres and a Mule immediately. And that being said, on that big of a stage, the significance of that and the impact of that. I'm starting to see videos of people who, 80-year-old woman made a video I think she was about 80 years old. She made a video not too recently saying that she had never thought about that being something affecting the black community. And that's a very common statement in the black community. We say that amongst ourselves all the time, knowing that there was something owed to us that was never given to us. And and this lady who made this video, she mentioned that being like a significant statement because she had never thought about the fact that this is a white woman. She had never thought about the fact that the black community is hurt by the fact that we have never been given what was owed to us. And that is not even on the minds of a lot of people. Now, that's what stood out to me immediately. So as we're going through the performance, I'm trying to vibe, I'm trying to get, but I know that there's a lot of significance happening. But once you're in it and the camera's close and, the camera's moving, there's a lot of production going on that doesn't really allow you to see the full scope of what's happening. And it's happening so fast and you're trying to process it. For me, I needed to just watch and enjoy and then, come back and watch again because there was so much there. It wasn't just a montage, let's sing and dance. Let's give the people a show. It was the opposite of that, which makes it so much more significant because he didn't take that opportunity to just sing and dance. He took that opportunity to actually make a statement, and not give the people what they were asking for. So there was so much there, now we know that it was a PlayStation controller. The field was a PlayStation controller, representing, the game that we're playing in America. And, the court, the jail courtyard that was in the center of it. And then there's so many different significant pieces in there, but I don't want to dive necessarily into the significant pieces. I do want to dive into some of the negative responses that, inevitably people would have. So a lot of the social reactions, of why certain, people didn't get it. Of course, there's a cultural divide there. There's a cultural difference where things that we see significant are not significant to other people. There's that. But then there's also the divide of artistry, of the divide of entertainment. And this has always been alive and well in art, period. Some people, I mean, if you go to any type of art, some people do the art for the art, right? Some people create just for the the love of creating, and then some people create just to get by. They create to achieve a goal of reaching higher heights or making more money or whatever the case may be. There's always been that divide in art. You can take any art, whether it's music, comedy, fashion, videography, photography, whether it's if you go into cinema and film, there is movies that are just movies. And then there are movies that are cinematic masterpieces, right? Where someone is taking the time to create a piece of art just for the love and joy of creating, right? And they want people to see the depth of what they've created. And so there's so many layers to it that the people who are just there to be entertained, they stop at the first layer, right? And so the divide that like happens when viewing art a lot of times is between people who are there to enjoy the layer and depth of art and people who are there to just simply be entertained and won't get past the first layer. In this case, the first layer is Kendrick Lamar being a dark black man rapping. That is the first layer. And a lot of people who viewed the Super Bowl won't get past that first layer. They see that and it's an automatic no. I don't like it. Terrible performance without even listening to what's happening. That second layer would be, actually listening and actually hearing what's going on. And some people stop at that layer, right? Is it entertaining? Like, is it like something that like I like am enjoying immediately? Is it keeping me on the edge of my seat? And then as you go deeper and deeper into the layers, now you're removing people from the equation here, right? You've got people who didn't make it past the first layer, people who didn't make it past the second layer. And then you got those people who make it past those layers and want to dive deeper and have a deeper understanding and enjoy the art for the art and really just want to listen and understand what's happening. Right? And so that's why I feel like there's such a divide between people who appreciate the artistry and people who just want to be entertained. And you can notice immediately from the criticism. I've received a call or two. Hey man, what you think about the halftime show? It won't really a halftime show. And it's like, oh, you're one of those people. And there's nothing wrong with being one of those people. But it's, I think, like trying to get people to be something that they're not is where we kind of get tripped up, right? Is where we kind of like, okay, you just want to be entertained. That's fine. And this is where we also get the divide between Drake fans and Kendrick Lamar fans. Drake fans, they just want to be entertained. They just want a good song that sounds good to the ears, that they can vibe to, that they don't have to think, that they can just, mindlessly go about their business and keep doing whatever they doing. Kendrick Lamar fans, right, are more so here to hear the artistry, to dissect, to understand deeper, and they have more of the capacity to listen through a track and not like it the first time, and then come back and listen to it again, and then come back and listen to it a third time. Like, oh, I didn't hear that the first time. And so the people who, like, I will watch a movie over and over again to find out, like, what the deeper meaning is. Most people, if they don't like it the first time, they will never go back and watch the movie again. they're not entertained the first time, they will never go back and watch a movie again. And sometimes I watch a movie that I did not like to say like, hey, maybe I missed something that the artist was trying to do or trying to say that I just didn't hear the first time that can tip the scale and allow me to be able to hear the nuances of what they're trying to do and trying to say. And there's that, and like that is the divide. That is the divide, right? This is why we see those criticism and common complaints. Now, I saw a video today that made me want, like I wasn't going to do a video on Kendrick Lamar today, but I saw a video today that made me want to do a video on Kendrick Lamar. And it was a clip from Mase and Cam's podcast. Now, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip. Let's go ahead and play the clip. And I want you, like, as you hear the clip, I want you to comment like what you feel like about not only Mase and Cam, but what do you feel about their response to this? That song behind it.
It lacked energy for me. I mean, even from the outfit selection, from the lights, just everything. Even if you're going into Kendrick's world, I would have came out with mustard. That would have been the way you just walk out, pause, to where the crowd was more hype. And if you're going to diss Drake, do the whole song.
I have a lot of thoughts, and I'll keep it short. Really, with Samuel Jackson being Uncle Sam, him saying, oh, Kendrick, don't do that song. This is too ghetto. This is too loud. And then by obeying Uncle Sam, he switched gears and then went to humble and did what was considered popular for the masses. It wasn't supposed to be, let me just play what everybody wants to hear. It was supposed to be, I'm sending a message. It's Black History Month. I'm on one of the biggest stages of the year, and I'm going to represent Black people. That's what I got from it. And I know, people wanted to hear, I don't know, like, we gonna be all right and different things, but that's why it was like, as he disobeyed Uncle Sam's messages, it kind of took you along to tell a story. So like, that's what Samuel Jackson represented. And, people can argue about what Serena represented, but she is from Compton and she did her thing. I think it tied in a lot of things that if you got it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. But I think that represented kind of his music and the culture as a whole. So I think he did a great job, but I don't think it was for everybody, because it's either you understood it or you didn't really vibe with it because it wasn't his popular hits. But I think he took a chance, and I think it was a cool chance to do on one of the biggest stages with all.
All right. So I agree with her. But I think this goes back to what I was saying before. There's the divide, and the divide is that, right? And after hearing what May said, this is the like I had when I watched that, I realized that Samuel Jackson was placed in the show for that reason, right? Remember, we talked about the fact that in cinema, a lot of times a director will place a character into the film to play as the audience, to be the audience, to be the voice of the audience, so that the a lot of times the audience can resonate with someone, right? And that's who Samuel Jackson was in that film. In that halftime show. He was the audience, right? So the significance of him being Uncle Sam, the white Uncle Sam, right? The majority of the white audience who was watching that halftime show was thinking and saying the same things that Samuel Jackson was saying, right? They were in their heads saying, or out loud saying, "No, this is too ghetto. This is too much." The same lines that Samuel Jackson's lines is the thoughts of the American audience, right? But it is also the thoughts of a Mase, right? A black man who is an artist who did not resonate with the film, right? Samuel Jackson, not the film, the performance. Samuel Jackson was the same, a black man who did not resonate with what Kendrick Lamar was doing on stage, telling him how he should do it, what he should have done, right? Mase saying that he should have started off with this song, and it lacked energy for me, and that energy is what the energy that Mase is looking for is the montage. It's the collection of hits. It's the DJ like feel of like, yo, these are my songs. This is my catalog, right? That's the energy that Mase wants. It's the first two layers, right? It's the first two layers. It's get them hype, get them enjoying the song, get them enjoying your performance. Perform, dance, sing. No thought process here. Just perform, dance, sing. And that's what Samuel Jackson represents. He represents the ones who would say those things. And in this case, Mase is Samuel Jackson. The American white audience who is not understanding or not gravitating towards it, they are Samuel Jackson. And to have the wherewithal to add a character like that, it's so cinematic for me, and I really enjoyed that. So we talked about the artists who reflect the world around them, and then the artists who are just here to entertain, right? And we can go down the list of different artists who are here to reflect the world around them, and those who are here to just entertain. But these are also people. There are people around you who are here to reflect the world around them. You see them, being active in protests. You see them being active in speaking and voicing their opinions online. And then you have those who are just here to entertain. It's those people who will continue to post, right? meaningless things while something, tragic is going on, while like planes are crashing and the United States government is in shambles. And so I think that goes back to, having sensitivity to what's happening and what's going on around you. And I think a lot of people have lost that sensitivity, and they just want to be numbed. Like I don't want to think about that. I just want to smoke some weed. I just want to drink some drink. I just want to be entertained. I just want to laugh. Just make me laugh. I just want to watch something on Netflix that has no meaning to it. I just want to watch something. I don't care what it is. I don't want to think about it. So I think there's an importance of understanding that difference between people, understanding where they stand and where they don't stand. And again, there's nothing wrong with being either or, but I think there's something wrong with trying to get people to be something that they're not. So just because people are Drake fans and they just want to be entertained, that's fine, right? And just because people are Kendrick Lamar fans and they want to have, depth and just layers, right? That's okay too. So just let me know your thoughts. Drop that in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications so that you can hear more discussions like this. And follow me on Instagram and TikTok at TJ Davidson. No I in there though. So Davidson without an I. That's linked down below as well. Be easy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.